If you can't help copying watercolor tutorials and you hate it because what you really want to do is create your own paintings, I'm going to share with you the mind shift that I had that changed everything and that allowed me to get rid of watercolor tutorials for good. It all started with this reference photo from one of my students that I coach. For each photo, they try to interpret it their own way, and I also do exactly the same. But then when I tried to interpret it in watercolor, I stumbled across big issues like, okay, how am I going to create the trees? How am I going to paint the houses behind? How am I going to manage the shadow on the foreground? And thing is that in the method that I use in order to paint my own watercolor, I use what I call a trailer, a watercolor trailer, which is a mental movie of your watercolor painting. It's kind of how to plan your watercolor painting, but in the right way. And here it was very difficult for me to come up with a watercolor trailer because I felt that something was wrong. So what I decided to go with is, okay, I'm going to use vivid colors. And this is what I did with the first wash. And it went quite fine because the color that I used, I loved the green with the yellow here, the orange, brown, and the floor here was for me a pinky. I wanted something that is more pinky, and I used to use muted colors, but for this one I wanted to use more vivid ones. And it went fine except for the floor because I wanted an effect like the shadow, a very blurry shadow on the foreground, and it didn't work as I wanted to. And after the first wash, I started to paint the shadow under the roof of the houses in the background. And here, as you can see, when I started to paint like that, I realized, wow, the light just pops and it's really beautiful. And then I lost my main focus, which was the tree and the shadow in the foreground. And I lost myself into, okay, the light on the houses is very beautiful, so I'm going to stick to that. And then you can see I started to create, and I spent a lot of time on the light on the background. And thing is that it's just a background. I shouldn't have spent so much time on it. But then I started painting blindly and I didn't know where to go from that point. Should I stick to my initial intention, which was the tree here, or should I stick now to the light on the background? And as I didn't decide, it started to exhaust me painting this topic. And in the end, here I came up with this painting, which is not bad, but it doesn't convey the story that I wanted to convey. And this is exactly my point in watercolor. It's that if you struggle making your own watercolor paintings, it's not that you don't have any talent. It's not that you don't have enough techniques. It's not that you are bad in watercolor. It's maybe most likely that the tasks that you handle when you paint your own watercolor paintings are too draining for you. They drain all your energy. And when I don't have my watercolor trailer, it's draining, it's exhausting because it drains so much mental energy, so much mental load that you don't have anything left to execute what you have in mind. And when you are exhausted, what do you do in your life? Not only in watercolor. You go on Netflix, you turn on the television, you go eat something, you make everything that can distract you because those activities are energizing. And this is exactly the thing here, because when you go back to watercolor tutorials, it's because it energizes you. even though watercolor tutorials, they don't make you feel like you create something by your own. And for me, everything shifted the day I created a workshop on how to paint gorgeous forest in watercolor. I created this workshop for the students, and at one point, I explained my students that if they wanted to create their own forest in watercolor, they need to detach themselves from the reference photo. And in order to do that, they just need to have another way of painting a tree. And this is when it hit me. Because the painting that I just showed you, I did it before this workshop on the trees. And when I saw that it was so easy to interpret one big photo into a little sketch that is beautiful, then I just wanted to do one thing, is having the live with my student on this photo, but applying the technique that I showed them about this tree. And this is exactly what I did with them. I showed them, okay, you see this photo, it's too complicated. What I want to test with you, what I want to experiment with you, is just to test these small techniques that I showed you about this tree, but applied to this reference photo. And I did exactly that with the shadow, with the tree, and I did it with colors, and I did it also without color, only light and dark. And here is the result. And you can see the students that I coach, what they were able to accomplish. This is another student, and it's beautiful how the pigment fuse here. This is another student, and also it's very beautiful. And this little tweak, just this little tweak, it completely shifted this topic, which was very difficult for me at first. But just by seeing that I don't need to do everything here, you can see I didn't do the background. And the background, I did it afterwards, when I was in the right move, when I was in this creative flow, because I was so happy painting with my students during a live painting that I told them, hey, you know what? Let's test now how the painting would look like if we only focus on the houses in the background, and then the tree is not here to take all the place. The tree is only here to serve the background. And here you can see that this topic, this watercolor, has nothing to do with the first ones that I did. And all of it was possible because I was able to transform a draining task into an energizing task. So if you find yourself struggling with making your own watercolor painting, first you need to spot the draining tasks that prevent you from succeeding. Is it about choosing your topic? Is it about planning your topic? Or is it about executing the watercolor? For example, for me, choosing the topic, it was such a pain for me. I could spend like 1 hour or 2 hours choosing a topic that I found feasible, accessible, reachable. So this task was so draining for me. The tweak that I did is, okay, how can I turn it so that it's energizing now? And the solution that I found, and you have your own solution, but my solution was, okay, I'm going to take the photo from my students directly, the photos that they take themselves. Not only does it help them because they can see, okay, Remy is interpreting my topic this way, so it's very helpful for them, but it's also helped me because I don't have all the pain into selecting one topic, selecting one photo. I don't have enough photo. Oh, this photo is too difficult. No, now I just select the photo from my students and then I just need to interpret it. I don't have the choice. And it becomes so much easier for me. So spot the task that is draining for you. Ask yourself, how can I tweak this task so that it's not draining anymore, but it's energizing instead? And then test this new solution. Let me know in the comments if this video was helpful. If you want to know more about my methodology to create my own watercolor painting, check the link in the description below.